Happy Halloween. It's the season for the macabre. It's the time of year for ghosts, ghouls, goblins, demons, killers, death, blood, and of course, horror films. And horror fans would lead you to believe that this time of year is the best time of year to watch a good old fashioned horror flick. Hey, that's what we do here at the Cutting Room Movie Podcast. We watch horror every Halloween and we get on the air and we discuss these horrific films. We scream for blood and guts. We scream for the horror. We scream for the unusual. And we scream for Halloween. As you all know, our resident horror maestro, Mr. Max Cook, gets to program our Halloween themed shows every year. And we rely on Max to deliver. We rely on him to deliver the gore. We rely on him to deliver the scares. Max, we rely on you to deliver horror. Well, listen, buddy. Listen here, buddy. These 3 films we watched this year, concluding with this discussion tonight about 15 murders. Well, I'm telling you right now, horror is definitely not part of the discussion. You gave me everything but horror. Let me tell you, Max, pal, what you delivered. You gave me laughs, not scares.
Laughs?
Laughs! Let me tell you a tiny bit about the found footage comedy 15 Murders. The first of its kind, actually. A cameraman and an aspiring journalist answer the call of one Edward Allen Payne via Craigslist to showcase the serial killer on film and try to get to the bottom of America's fascination with violence. The 2 filmmakers agree to spend 5 days at the psycho's house and obtain real footage to dissect the question at hand. The premise, on paper, sounds like a pretty good idea for a pretty scary flick, but director Jason Hawkins, who also plays Payne, delivers laughs, in my opinion, instead of anything truly horrifying here. It's seriously one absurd incident after another, as the actors really seem to be going for the laughs here instead of anything dramatic. I almost peed myself watching actor Ben Olin get tied to a chair and tortured as he screamed, "No!" for almost 15 minutes. I understand found footage horror is still hot for some reason, but I beg you to go back and watch the Blair Witch Project instead, or Harmony Korine's Trash Humpers, if you want to be scared or disturbed. If Hawkins was going for something comedic here, then I applaud him. I truly do, because if he was doing that, that is really fascinating. But if this is just another attempt at a cheap horror film that falls under the found footage genre, then I say pass. And let me tell you something, Max Cook. Next year, please scare us with something. Anything that's remotely creepy, because if I have to sit through more serial killer nonsense, well, maybe I might go on a rampage.
Oh my God. What is wrong with you? You thought it was a comedy?
I really think that he might be going for that, Max. I really do. I mean, how could you not laugh at this? I mean, you find this creepy or disturbing or...
Listen to me. This is a guy, first of all, let's look at the business aspect of this product, okay? This is a dude, and I don't fucking shop at Walmart, and I don't think any of us do. Well, Joe probably does, to save a buck. But this is a guy who got his film into Walmart. And my point is, how the fuck did this local Portland-based filmmaker get his serial killer Slaughterfest into Walmart? And this is the point of the exploitation theme, Tom. You keep missing the fucking theme, man. It's like soaring right over your head.
I don't think it is, Max. I mean,
Tom,
but my theme is different from yours. I think that Man Bites Dog and 15 Murders are legitimate comedies.
All right, Tom. You're telling me that you didn't feel a sense of dread, a sense of like, you've seen many, many found footage horror films, I'm sure. Back when we were on Horror Palace, we had to watch a lot of them, and a lot of them suck,
Yeah,
and a lot
like
of them have
Apollo
very
18.
low production values. But this one kind of calls itself out, which is what I like about it. I think this Hawkins,
He's calling himself out. What do you?
because for little things, for example,
What?
that Natasha Lapani, are you telling me when she has her hot little black undies on?
Oh, come on.
Oh, listen. She says at one point, hey, when she hires the filmmaker, he shows up at the serial killer's house, and she's supposedly the journalistic integrity of the production. And she goes, well, what are you shooting with there? And he says, I'm shooting with this camera. And she goes, well, I don't really like when the microphone is just built into the camera. I like a more, where's your sound man?
Yeah, she wants a
Little
bigger
things
production. Yeah.
Little things like that. Tom, are you going to tell me that sequence that takes place in the streets of Portland with all of the Portland locals talking about the things we are talking about wasn't utterly fascinating?
No. And
you're out of your mind. The gout has gone to your brain, Thomas.
It's not gone to my brain, Max. The gout doesn't go anywhere near my brain, I assure you.
This is an ambitious guy who is putting together an empire out of Portland. I respected what he did. I respected the fact that he got this fucking thing out in stores. I think he has some really unique ideas. And I don't know, maybe it's just me.
That scene right slap dab in the middle of the movie where she goes into the cameraman's bedroom, out of nowhere. I mean, that's just thrown in there so you could see the chick in her fucking...
Before you knew the twist, weren't you like, where the hell is this coming from? Wasn't it disorienting for you?
To me, it was all about just getting a chance to get her with her bra and panties on screen.
Well, what's wrong with that? You don't want to see no bra?
To do that, I would just go to Pornhub.com, Max. You want to do something meaningful here in cinema, or you want to make porn? What do you want to do?
Is that our new sponsor?
I found the porn I made to be very meaningful.
You know what, Tom? I got to tell you something. Here's the crux of this particular episode.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, we have a very compelling guest that I think we need to get to.
Right.
Number two of the fuckers on this show did not even see the goddamn movie. And here's the biggest beef I have. And I'm so glad that he chose to join us. But our dear friend, Joseph Christiana, this is a man who is...
I'm so glad, Tom, that you're out of the hot seat for the segment, and I'm going to be put in the Max Cook hot seat. Here comes the naked light bulb over my face here. Go ahead.
This is a man with children. This is a man with a wife. This is a man with a job. This is a man who has product out there in the world. He's made scary things. He's in film festivals. He's being featured on Australian television. This is a guy who is doing something with his life. And what does he do, Tom? As usual, he cowers. He runs away. He turns his back. He bails on his own fucking baby. The problem with Joe was...
Wait, what is my baby? The baby is the show? Is the show here? Is that what you're...
Right now, the baby is...
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you have many children, Joe. This is just one of them.
So Joe wrote a script, which I read, which is similar in many ways to the film that we are discussing. Okay.
Yeah.
But know what? But you know what? He chose to not face it. He chose to not watch the film. He didn't want to talk about it. He got scared.
I'm not scared. I'm not scared.
Turned yellow. This guy turned yellow and
God.
chose to turn his back on his own baby. The baby began to scream, Tom. The baby began to weep and cry because it wanted food.
Oh my God.
And he would not put his tit in the fucking baby's mouth to fucking feed it because it struck him on a personal level.
First of all,
over a script that was unproduced, Tom. Meanwhile, he's produced other things that have gone on to very winning successes, and he did not want to do this segment, Tom.
I know, but listen, I know Joe. I know he's a little sensitive about this subject, and we've had this problem before when Joe was asked to do a review about the Astron 6 movie Manborg, and we had a little bit of a problem.
So glad that came out.
I know, but we had a little bit of a problem there, and Joe, you got to handle Joe with kid gloves here, Max, on this one.
First of all, the only kid here, Max, is you, and I'm not going to put my tit in your mouth no matter how much you're crying over that. No, honestly, listen. Do you really want an explanation, or do you
Yes,
want to
I
just
do.
leave it
I
at your
think you owe
accusation?
us, Joe.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I spent hundreds of hours working on a script, right? And so when I saw this film come up, the last thing it just my stomach dropped, and I'm like, oh god, I'm dreading watching this fucking film. And then after a couple of days pass, I'm like, I hate this fucking film, and I haven't even watched it because basically what the film represented to me was basically, look, you have to shelve projects once in a while, and that's cool, and you got to move on, and I get that, but that doesn't mean that it makes it any easier to go and watch a film that basically sounds almost identical to the film that you spent hundreds of hours and became very
Well,
personal. To me. There's a
hold
lot
on,
of
Joe. Hold on, Joe. You say that you have to you have to shelve projects once in a while.
sure.
Of course. But I got a feeling that the man that is on this show right now doesn't shelve anything. I think he attacks everything all the time. I get this feeling that this man doesn't even have a shelf in his work area.
Our guest. Okay. Do you want to move on to the guest? I'm more than happy to go
He's
on to the
explaining
guest.
himself,
I'm
Tom.
trying to
It's a
save
hard-
him, Max. I'm trying to save him.
He doesn't need saving. I'm
No,
tired
so
of Joe being
yeah,
mollycoddled.
no, I
I
don't
am
need saving.
tired of Joe being
Here's
mollycoddled. Joe is
here's
always
me.
being mollycoddled.
So listen, you guys were gonna interview the filmmaker for this. Dude, when I'm thinking about watching this movie, basically I could have two reactions. I'm gonna feel really shitty because the guy did a better job than what I could have done,
Joe,
or
you're
I'm
your own visionary.
look, you had your chance. Let me just finish and then we can move on. And or I'm gonna feel shitty that the guy did a shitty job with a similar idea and he got his shit into the thing. So either way, it's gonna be unfair to the film and the filmmaker and anybody who's listening to the show looking for an objective opinion from me.
Therapy. You need therapy. You are your
What
own thing.
you're just
think
refusing to
how many
accept
movies
my.
have you made?
Just because you're refusing to accept my explanation doesn't mean I need
How many
therapy.
movies have they made about Nazis? How many movies have they made about Gandhi and that shitty diaper?
Max, so anyway,
I only really remember the one big movie with Gandhi and the diapers, so you're shooting your mouth off on an empty subject there, pal.
Fisher, there he is.
So I've come. So I've.
And guys,
so
let's get to the heart of the filmmaker issue here. Your duty as the viewer is who gives a damn about the filmmaker and the journey he went through making the movie? That don't matter. Is the movie any good? That's the only thing that counts to the consumer at home who wants to spend their hard-earned dollars and go, man, that was awesome. They don't care if the guy did his best if the movie stinks. They still are out $5 or $20 or $30 if they saw it at the theater. So come on, be real here, guys.
But Hart, we're talking about a dude who, first of all, do you know anyone else out of Portland making horror films?
I know a shitload of people. I've got submissions
Out
up
of
the
Portland,
wahoo. Out of Portland, out of all over the world. There's a ton of people all over. And you know what the great thing is?
I want one name out of Portland, Hart. I want one name out of Portland. Who do you got?
Who do I have? I'm working with a bunch of Watch the Police guys that are making movies about corrupt cops.
All right. Hart, I'm talking about who do you know out of Portland? Specifically.
I didn't come on here to talk about Portland filmmakers. I came in here to shoot my mouth off about me.
Let's do it.
You know, what do I got to talk about some jackass from Portland? You know there's kids running around in Portland making awesome movies. And I'm going to lay down the gauntlet because I'm the guy that gets submissions, all right? And I'm going to tell you guys, the best horror films that are coming to me are coming from Canada. The filmmakers in Canada, the short filmmakers and the features that are coming to me are the most professional that I'm getting so far. So I'm laying down the gauntlet to American filmmakers. You guys call yourself American horror filmmakers? Well, let's go, guys. Let's start making something more professional and something that doesn't need a hologram on the cover to sell it. All right? Let's make better horror. Take our egos out of it. Let's stop walking the red carpet at your local film fest so you feel like a hero, and let's focus more on making a good goddamn film.
Yeah, there you go.
Motherfuckers,
Dave,
I'm so sick of this film festival shit.
Dave.
I've got 5 movies at the film festival and everybody likes them. Yeah, well, are they released? Are they any good? Do people pay for them?
But that's
Get the
thing.
fuck out of here with your film festival shit.
You know as well as I do that whether a film's good, or bad really doesn't make a difference if your shit's being bought. Come on. You know
That's very
that.
true. No, you're very correct.
Yeah, that really has. I mean, what's good to some of these viewers, like, and what is an actual good film. I mean, there's a big fucking wall between that, dude.
Well,
Big.
that's the real trouble I have at American Horrors is my horror channel, which everybody can watch for free. We're at filmon.com. You can watch us worldwide. With FearNet Dead, we're the only true, uncut, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 goddamn days a year horror channel that's uncut, run by a virtual madman.
And
It's free to watch.
That's at
American Horror.
www.americanhorrors.com.
No, actually, we're on filmon.com. What people need to wrap their head around is we are a TV channel that is broadcast by the 21st century company filmon.com. And what they are is they're a distribution company that has decided they're going to focus their cable efforts on the online community where the future is instead of this brick and mortar cable shit. Everybody knows the TV is going to the web, and that's why you've got AT&T and Comcast all fighting to own and destroy net neutrality because they want to be able to favor their channel, Hulu, over Alki David's Film On. And Film On has over 600 channels you guys can watch for free, 5 or 6 different horror channels, and it's all free, guys. You can check it all out. And if you want to subscribe to American Horrors, they allow you to have a virtual DVR. So my struggle with American Horrors is realizing that taste is varied. I've seen a gazillion horror films. So when I go see the remake of Evil Dead, I'm like, what kind of regurgitation is this? What kind of crap is this? They're stripping it down to every other horror.
Don't you think that in a way that having all that content out there is bad because the possibility of having more shit than goodness is more of a possibility?
My only argument for that is very simply, you could still find a good hamburger even though McDonald's exists.
Hart, let's get into you, man. Let's get into you.
Okay.
I watched Serial
Just don't
Killer
make it hurt. Just put the tip in.
And I saw you, and I watched you, and I thought you were an extremely, if not the most compelling character of the film. It looked like you were a man who had a lot of internal pain going on, and there was something very ambiguous. You had suffered some kind of loss, and honestly, Hart, do you think the filmmakers did you justice in that film? Because it feels like they breezed over a lot of things just to get to the Jeffrey Dahmer comic book, which you are notoriously known for. But don't you think they breezed over the ring you wore on your finger, a tragedy you endured? You mentioned it, and then they breezed over it.
Well, to be honest about John, what most people at home don't know.
John is the filmmaker.
The
director, John Borowski, who directed Serial Killer Culture, his mother died in the middle of making that film, and most people don't know that. He was in Los Angeles, and he interviewed me, and he was supposed to interview Carl Crew next, who was the actor and writer of the Dahmer movie. And Carl's a friend of mine, so I set that up. And so
the Dahmer movie with Jeremy Renner?
No, not that.
That documentary that just came out. Okay.
No, the good one from the 90s that was everybody was upset. Carl Crew wrote his Dahmer movie based on the police reports, and he had inside information on the Dahmer case. The Jeremy Renner one sucks a dick. Get the fuck out of here with that Jeremy Renner.
What's the title of the film you're talking about, Hart?
It's Dahmer. And it's with Carl Crew, and it's from like 1993 or 94, and it's very hard to find.
Okay. It's a narrative film?
It's a fictional film. Carl Crew plays Jeffrey Dahmer, and the prison guards showed that film to Dahmer. Yeah.
Okay.
So as far as like John glossing over anything, I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say out of all my interviews that I've ever done for TV and documentaries, John was one of the very first to give me a true fair shake. Mostly people edit me to look like a clown. And it's very easy to do because I got a big mouth and I make a lot of jokes.
Sure.
But what people at home don't understand is during those days of doing the Dahmer books, and that's not even the, I've ran Verotic, Danzig's comic book company. I co-wrote the most controversial thing they ever published, A Taste of Cherry, which is banned as obscene material to this day in the state of Oklahoma. I faked my death in 1998. I did the Killed Image
Wait
comic
a
book.
minute. What are you talking? How do you breeze over this stuff, Hart?
I'm not done. Let me keep going.
Hart,
I'm not done. I got more, baby.
Hart,
I got more. My life is an onion, bloody onion.
Hart, you can be a carnival barker all you want, but you can't breeze over something like that. What do you mean you faked your own death?
I faked my own death for April Fool's Day in 1998 with the help of Boneyard Press guys like Joe Janofsky, and we were dead for about a week. And the Comics Journal and the Comics Buyer's Guide teamed up to find out the truth of my, quote, death. And the joke went far bigger than I expected. Even going to my next-door neighbors back home in Chicago, where I'm from, it was huge. And a lot of my friends, some of my friends got pretty mad at me, you know. I don't blame them. Because the joke went way bigger than I expected it to go.
Did your mother find out, Hart?
Oh, no, they were in on it. My mom and my dad. I'm not an idiot. I let my family was in on it. Are you kidding me?
Hart, you're acting like we all jerk off to you on a daily basis. No one knows what the fuck is going on, so you have to illuminate us on this rich history, man.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Sure.
So tell us again. So your mom was in on this prank?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we did this, you know, back in those days, I had a lot of hatred directed at me over the Dahmer books, over the Kill Image books, the Marvel Can Suck My Cock t-shirts, the story I did for Danzig, A Taste of Cherry. The industry backlash over that was huge. So I was tired of hearing people talk shit about me in the corners, and I decided to fake my death for April Fool's Day to hear everybody talking their crap. But it didn't turn out that way. In fact, I found out that my work mattered to a lot more people than I ever knew. A lot of my heroes were really upset, and that particular prank kind of changed my life. It really opened up my eyes to the worth of my work, the value of what I was doing, and it led to some crazy moments out on the road. I mean, there was one store owner who didn't know, a local guy here in Los Angeles, who I can't remember the name of his store. I used to buy books there, and when we faked my death, no one went back to that store and told him, hey, Hart's alive. So like a couple weeks go by, and I walk into the store to go get some comics, you know, and he's talking to somebody. His back is to the door, and I walk in, and you hear the ding, ding, and he turns around. No shit. He goes white as a sheet. Deep inhale, because in his mind, he's seeing a ghost. And I'm like, oh, shit, dude, I'm alive. It's okay. It was a joke. He came over. He gave me the biggest effing hug, and I had to tell him, like, no, it's a joke.
Hart,
it was
why
an
are
April
you
Fool's
doing
joke.
this to people? Why are you doing this to people, Hart?
I just told you why. Because I was sick of people shitting on me, and I wanted to hear the bullshit, and I got shocked.
The guy who hugged you took a shit on you, Hart?
No, he showed me love. That's what I'm saying. It was a huge, huge difference in what I expected. I got an outpouring of love.
You got an embrace.
I got an embrace, and so from the industry as a whole, and from heroes of mine and people I didn't know were even following my work. So I did it to hear BS.
Your existence, Hart. This validated you and said you have a place in this world.
The death validated.
It didn't validate me. It changed my perspective.
How did it do that?
Because I was treated in a way that I wasn't expected to be treated. You guys have no idea the hatred that was leveled at me in those days in the 90s. My mom could not tell people at work her son was Hart Fisher, the author of the Dahmer book. The mass media maligned my reputation so much. I had death threats. My house got robbed twice. Once because local news broadcast I was at the Fangoria Horror Convention. Oh, so some people came over and robbed my effing house. That's on the news before I even get home. My front door kicked in and my clothes strewn out through the front lawn and down the driveway, you know? So I've had so much shit happen to me, you guys. You could make a TV show. You could make the opposite of Entourage.
So when is the Hart Fisher documentary happening?
There was one in production.
You have all this going on.
There was a lot in production, and I wasn't happy with the director, so I sacked him, and I haven't found a team that I'm happy with to continue the documentary.
So you were making your own documentary about yourself if you sacked the director.
We had a falling out.
Hart,
I owned the footage.
Are you a narcissist?
Am I a narcissist? Obviously, yes. I'm in love with my voice enough to get on the radio. So obviously, I have enough confidence in my work and people's desire to hear me that a weak-ass motherfucker with no confidence could call me a narcissist. Yeah, sure. I comb my hair. I brush my teeth. I take a shower every day.
Did you just call me a weak-ass motherfucker?
If you want to pick up that label, go right ahead. I did not.
No, I think you just.
I said that if somebody has a problem with my self-confidence over my accomplishments in my life and feels I'm a narcissist,
has a problem with that,
they can have at it.
This is all in your head. Now, Hart, you did not answer my question.
You're not used to having a guy take you to task, are you? Are you the bull of the show?
He's the bully.
Do I gotta break you on this show? Because I'll fucking break you, motherfucker.
You didn't answer my question.
Yes, I did. I answered your question, and you're not hearing me.
You suffered
Yes,
a very
I did.
great loss. No, you wanted to talk about.
You want to go back to the original? No. You want to go back to the original?
I wanted to talk about the loss you suffered. I wanted to talk about the loss you suffered, and you didn't talk about that loss.
We
you
haven't
went off on a whole other tirade, Hart.
You asked me about
you
faking
are
my death,
you
so
are
I told
wonderful.
you about it.
I was asking about the loss you suffered, and I would like to talk about that if you want to talk about it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Fucking no shit. I spent 10 years and 3 different murder trials to put this cocksucker in jail. So fuck yeah, I got no problem talking about it.
Okay, so what happened, Hart?
Well, during the making of my film, The Garbage Man, my girlfriend was working at a hotel as the night auditor. A man kicked in 2 different doors, raped and murdered her during the filming of The Garbage Man while my father was staying at the hotel. And in fact, he's the last person to talk to her on the phone before the killer did.
Jesus.
And if he'd gotten up to the front desk 10 minutes sooner, my father would be dead to this day. Right. So that happened in the middle of making Garbage Man. In the middle of me being this evil bad guy from the Dahmer books, while I'm being persecuted all over TV as a bad guy for doing a comic book about a serial killer that condemns the media's portrayal of the serial killer, by the way.
You get to experience some real life horror here.
I've had a whole lifetime of horror. Muggings, beatings, suicide, drug addiction, seeing my friends beaten up in front of me by their parents, having the police abuse people in front of me, being mugged in front of a police station when I'm like 10 or 11 and being beaten up. I've been attacked by groups of people. I've had my ass handed to me by 4 dudes taking turns beating the shit out of me while I was a kid. I grew up in a really rough part of Chicago. I have buried a lot of people. I have had a lot of girlfriends raped, stalked, all of it. So this murder is not the culmination. The murder is what broke me, and I went insane after she was murdered. It was the 3rd girl in a row in my life that had been raped.
Who raped her?
She was raped by her killer.
Who did? So you said you found the guy, you got him in jail, you said?
They got him, and there were 3 different murder trials over the course of 10 years because after they convicted this guy, and they got him. I mean, the shotgun that shot her, they pulled his cum out of her. They fucking had her blood on his pants legs. You know, he had the money. He was bragging to his friends about the white bitch he took off. And this fucking guy said he had a relationship with her. So every murder trial, it's a sex crime.
Yeah.
And it got uglier and nastier every fucking trial.
Now, Hart, how do you absorb all of this terrible trauma? I mean, do you turn it into art? What do you do with all of these horrible things that have happened to you?
I turned it into art, and I drank myself to sleep every night for about 10 years.
Oh, boy. Right.
What was your drink of choice there?
It was mostly vodka and grapefruit because you guys may not know it, but before I cracked, I was a teetotaler. I didn't drink at all. I'm not a druggy guy. I'm not into that.
You're sober now?
Actually, yeah, I am sober right now. I haven't had a drink for a bit, and I'm happy about that. It's not that I had an alcohol problem. I had an emotional problem. I had things I had to deal with emotionally.
Are you in therapy, Hart?
No, no.
You don't
Poetry was therapy. It's not need.
Well,
My parents got divorced when I was a kid, and I went to group counseling with my mother to kind of go through that. So I've kind of understood what psychotherapy was about. I dealt with it with my parents when they divorced, and it helped. You know, it helped as a kid, and it helped my mother. It helped my family. But when this happened, it was just agony that you had to deal with. It was pure pain, and I didn't.
So you're using your art as an outlet to get to deal with all this emotional stress and trauma that you've experienced.
Exactly, and that's why the work is so ferocious.
What's fascinating to me is that you said you went through 3 different murder trials. So yep. I'm assuming that there were 2 other men that were brought to trial that were found innocent.
Oh, it's far worse than that. The politicians in the state of Illinois decided that my case would be a wonderful test case to retry and test out some new issues with jury instructions to the jury. So I had to go through this, and my family and the victim's family, her mother, who went absolutely dog shit crazy after that and has never recovered her sanity. It destroyed that family, and it destroys, I couldn't get my life together for 10 Years. People want to know why I was so rabid during the Boneyard days. It's because I had this murder trial making me insane. And it just wound me up. And so my therapy was martial arts, artwork, and drinking and going out and having a good time. Because when your friends are dead, the only way you can honor them is to live life hard.
Hart. I want you to take a deep breath.
Well,
You're very, very riled up. Hart.
Well, this is normal for me, guys. You guys wanted me riled up. You got me riled up.
Now we're going to take it down. Hart, I want you to take me through your day when it isn't crazy. What time do you wake up in the morning?
I normally get up probably like 1 p.m.
Answer it calmly.
Love it. That's awesome.
Answer it calmly.
Dude, you don't get to tell me how I fucking talk, motherfucker. This is how I fucking talk. You do not get to tell me how I talk.
All right.
All right?
Hart, fair enough. So you wake up at 1 p.m. Now, by
I get up at 1 p.m.
I get it, Tiger. So you're malnourished. Now, what do you do?
Oh, no, I'm up late. I work nights, guys. I work nights.
Okay, that's
You
great.
want me to take you through the day? I'll take you through the day. I get up at 1,
right.
take about an hour to wake up, get some coffee in me, maybe some green tea. Maybe I'll read a book for a little bit. Then
What
I
about
check
sustenance, Hart? What about
Well,
carbs?
breakfast goes with coffee.
Are you a cigarette? Are you a cigarette smoker?
Hell no. Fuck no.
You see, Hart. Here's the fucking problem. You took it on to tell me about your day, but you skipped over the meal part, and I find that interesting. So let's go back to the meal, since you're the guest, and I'm asking you the questions. So
you're hilarious, dude. You'd be
you wake up at 1 o'clock. That you wake up at 1 o'clock. You have your coffee. Now, what do you eat? Do you have a protein, a carbohydrate? What do you eat?
It depends on the day. Sometimes it'll be a protein shake. Some days it might be eggs and rice.
Eggs and rice.
Yeah.
Brown rice or brown?
No, just regular
rice?
old white rice.
Okay.
I have a Japanese wife, so they don't do brown rice.
Now, is she subservient and is she sick of your yelling?
Sick of my yelling.
Your intensity, Hart. You're yelling. Are you yelling at this poor woman? Is she
suffering? Is she like Alice to your Ralph Cramden?
Not at all, guys. Not at all. She's a very strong, intelligent, educated woman who works very hard. And I'll tell you, American Horrors is the only horror channel co-owned by a woman. And when I mean co-owned, like she's in charge of what goes on the air. I don't tell her what's playing today. She makes up her mind what's playing today. Get it?
So it's 4 o'clock, Hart, and you suddenly feel a rumbling in your tummy. Is that when you have your first boom boom of the day? Your first evacuation?
Well, it's all over the place. I don't keep track of what time.
I don't know what that means, Hart. Does that mean you're
day.
shitting all over your bathroom?
Well, what it means is I don't keep track of when I have my eliminations, so I couldn't tell you what time I have an elimination.
He doesn't have an Excel spreadsheet like you, Max.
Yeah, I don't have a smartphone. I don't have a computer keeping track of me. I'm a free man.
I'm glad, Hart. I'm glad you're rebelling against fucking everything. I'm just trying to find out.
It's got nothing to do with rebelling. It's interesting how you put a label on that. Why is it a rebelling to say I don't have a smartphone?
So when is the first time you take a shit in the day, Hart? What
I don't
time
know.
did you take shit today, Hart?
Couldn't tell you.
You have not shat today.
I've had one, I think. Yeah. I think I've taken one today.
What time did you take the shit, Hart?
I'm sorry you're so anal and you keep track on a notepad of when you take a crap, but I don't.
That is an accurate statement.
Guy, I know you're so anal. You're dominating this, and you're trying to dominate my tone. You're trying to dominate the words I use. You're inserting words. You're judging me with every statement. It's a rebellion because I don't take track of when I take a shit. It's a rebellion. You're a rebel, Hart. No, I'm a human being who lives his own life by his own wishes, and I don't let a computer track me. I got a Thomas guide in the car, and I have no idea when I'm going to take a shit next. You know what'll happen? I'll go, I think I got to go, and I'll get up, and I'll walk to the bathroom. I'll flip through a copy of Game Informer, and then I'll go back to work, or maybe I'll play a video game. But keeping track of it on the clock, that's the last fucking thing I'm going to do.
So when you say you go
pants and you take your notebook and your pencil and your judgmental ways and you just shove them up your ass and you could write down when you shit it out.
judgmental. Do you really think I'm judging you, or am I just having fun? Come on, Hart. Really?
No, you're very passive aggressive. You are incredibly passive aggressive and controlling. It's insane.
Hart.
You're trying to dominate this thing, and now you're taking up this.
Oh,
Hart, I'm gonna look down at my nose at you now. I'm gonna talk down to you with this silly little voice. You really silly little child, Hart. Oh, well, I can tell what's going on. I've been doing this longer than you. I've been manipulated on television on Larry King. I've had psychiatrists try to fuck with me. You're nothing at this game. Pushing buttons for you, you're hitting it like a hammer. You got to learn more finesse, my friend. More finesse.
Thank you. No, seriously,
So have you got a real question for me, or do you want to keep talking about my bowel movements?
You say that you go to work every day, so what are you working on right now?
Right now, I am working on getting Mission Terror ready to premiere on American Horrors. It's a really cool paranormal investigation group out of Rockford, Illinois. And
it's a TV show?
Yeah,
TV show type
show that's coming to American Horrors.
So you guys are programming a network now. So I mean, does that leave much time for poetry writing, screenwriting, comic book writing? What is that what you're basically doing? What would you say is your main focus as an artist?
Well, my main focus is American Horrors.
Right.
That is the thing that I am doing nonstop. It's my thing every day. Because guys, it's a TV network, just like WGN Channel 9.
Right.
It's a television network. So I spend a lot of my time doing paperwork, contract.
Right. So that doesn't sound that's not very creative. Do you miss actually like getting your hands involved with the materials, getting the pen to the paper? I mean, I just knowing working a commercial job, office job, that it's soul sucking stuff. Does it get frustrating that you're not actually creating anymore, or is that kind of taking over your creative energies at this point?
Well, luckily, since I've been owning my own business since 1991, I'm a very good self-starter. I'm a martial arts mind. I've been doing martial arts since 1987, and for me, I just get up and go. I'm a bull. I just work, take a break, get back to it.
And it doesn't matter to you if you're negotiating a deal with a potential advertiser or writing a poem?
It makes a huge difference. The poetry is a result of my madness. So the poetry comes about like a bleed-off valve. It helps my mental health. Like same with doing a spoken word performance.
So it's like a balance. It's a balancing thing.
It's a balancing act. It's a balancing act.
It's a creative outlet to keep you sane, to help you deal with the business part of what you do.
Well, the poetry is a result of the violence in my life. Most of the creative work I do is a result of the violence I've experienced in my life, the violence my friends have experienced in their lives. And so it is therapy for me, unless I'm a hired gun. Like I'm definitely a mercenary. I worked in the advertising business. I still do advertising work when I'm hired. I'm acting in films, and that's actually starting to pay. I got this.
Yeah, Joe, hold on. Tell us how you mentioned acting. Tell us how you got together with Matt Farnsworth. He's making a sequel to The Orphan Killer. You're obviously going to be a part of that. Tell me how you got together with Matt Farnsworth and Diane Foster.
You can thank Ronda Rousey's mother. Ronda Rousey, the first female champion of the UFC. You guys know who I'm talking about?
No, I'm not familiar with the UFC.
Ronda Rousey is the first woman to break into the UFC. She's the first female champion of the UFC. She's a judo Olympic contender, and her mother's a friend of mine, Dr. DeMars, and I was working with Dr. DeMars on a video game to help Indians on reservations learn math better, and I'm doing voices for it. I helped them raise 10% of their Kickstarter budget, and so I've been working with...
I'm sorry, what, you're Indians on reservations learning math better?
Yeah, that's right. I do a lot of private social work. I work with at-risk kids. I work with battered women's shelters. I've helped raise money for women to save their homes from predatory banks. I used my radio show for that, and American Horrors, the TV network, to help raise money for the March of Dimes, for various different charities. And so Dr. DeMars, she showed up where her daughter Rhonda's training in Glendale, and Matt and Diane train with Rhonda in MMA. And so she started talking about me to Matt. And so I had lunch with Matt. We're going to do something with the Orphan Killer film and American Horrors that we haven't quite decided. We haven't announced it to the public yet. We're working out the details. And then Matt's wife, Diane, fell in love with my car out in the parking lot. She's like, man, your Chevy's awesome. We got to get that in the movie. And then the next thing I know, the killer is going to steal my car in the film, and me and the orphan killer have a titanic battle on my front lawn here in Highland Park.
Oh, wow.
You will be battling Marcus Miller, the orphan killer, on your front lawn.
That's correct.
Wow.
So I was going to ask you, Hart, if you instilled some street smarts, not that your wife needs it. I don't know your wife. But with all of the traumatic things you've experienced with women and rape and all the things you're talking about, is your wife going out there with mace, a Kubaton? I mean, is she looking in the back seat of her car at night at the gas station? What's going on there?
Well, everybody needs to be more self-aware. When I see young gentlemen running around with their baggy pants, I think, boy, you're an easy victim. You ain't running away from nobody. You'd be easy to take off. Or I see people running around with their headphones on their head and they can't hear predators coming up behind them. Where I grew up in Chicago, we were warned, hey, don't listen to your headphones too loud. You're going to get mugged. And we see a whole generation of people that are volunteering to be criminally violated. And we have issues with the police also. You can't quite trust the police either anymore with what's happening in Ferguson, or if you're a black person in this country. There's a lot of scary things. As far as my wife and her self-defense is concerned, I'm not gonna let the public know what my wife does. I'm not gonna pre-warn anybody about that because I've had stalkers. I've had people. I have a stalker right now. And
is Matt Farnsworth an insufferable dick? Or, I mean, clearly you got on with him, but was there any aspect of his personality that was insufferable during that lunch?
Not at all. Matt was nothing but a top-notch pro. Matt is a very intelligent, top-notch person. I've watched him shoot. I spent 5 days on the Orphan Killer 2 set. Some of it was me acting. Some of it was my car, being used. And Matt was a top-notch pro. Matt is one of the really great ones. I like the Orphan Killer film. I mean, it's a first horror film by him. I think it's very good. I get a little bored with Diane being tortured in the basement.
Right.
But other than that, I like the origins of the Orphan Killer. And on set, Matt's a total pro. His team, total pro. I had no problem. In fact, I have nothing but respect for Matt. I can't wait to see what he does with this footage.
Is the budget bigger than the first one?
You know what? The budget is smaller, but he's shooting smarter. He has shot so many locations and got so much killer footage. He's got great MMA guys in the film. Rhonda's disciples, the 4 horsewomen, are in this film. Diane gives a killer performance in this film. Diane is fantastic.
What did you guys eat during breakfast?
Well, there really wasn't much of a breakfast because mostly it was night shooting, except for 2 days in Mulholland.
No. You said you had a meal with Matt Farnsworth. So where was the meal and what did you guys eat?
I had pancakes and bacon. I don't remember what those guys had. We met at a restaurant in Glendale called Eat Well. This is a really good place.
That's a great fucking breakfast.
Now listen, do you remember Dave Pace Bonello? David Pace? Do you remember him at all?
I know the name, and I'm trying to remember how I know Dave.
Well, go back in time. Take a minute if you have to.
Does it have anything to do? Because I know that I think at Hart, your podcast and our podcast, we kind of broke the Leanne Spider Baby thing at the same time.
Oh, okay, all right. So Dave, what did you have to do with it?
Yeah, we were the only 2 podcasts that were really throwing that information out there, and that's when I first. Discovered you, and of course we also had Mike White on, and we we're trying to break that story. So it's interesting that both our podcast and your podcast broke that story together. But that's probably where you know Dave from.
Quentin
went out. We know each other from.
Quentin went out of his way to suppress that story and to use his ability to suppress that story, but it didn't work. And I have to laugh because everybody's like, "Oh no, what's going to happen?" And I'm like, well, Quentin's going to dump this girl in about 3 months when it all blows over. She's going to leave L.A. Her contract's going to get dumped by St. Martin's Press, and it's all going to be done quietly after this all blows over. And guess where Leanne Spider Baby is right now?
Where is she, Hart? Tell us.
She's teaching English in Canada, a plagiarist, a serial plagiarist who's made her entire career by plagiarizing better people's work and getting paid for it and taking awards for other people's work, is teaching English in a Canadian school system.
Yeah. You were really, listen, I tried to be objective, I was just trying to get the information out there. But I remember listening to your show on that, Hart. You were really fucking pissed, man. You were.
Have you had your work plagiarized?
No, I haven't.
Have you had your work stolen?
I have not, Hart.
Have you seen somebody like make money off of your work?
Hart, have you had your work stolen?
Fuck yeah, I have.
Tell
Lots
us.
of times. Even
give
right down to.
Give us a good one, Hart.
My favorite was showing up at a flea market and seeing my poetry on those varnished wooden clocks they sell at the flea market.
Oh, why would you care about that, Hart? Come on.
Why would I fucking care? Because it's fucking mine, motherfucker. That's my fucking poetry. And how about you put my name under it if you're going to quote me?
Hart,
how about that?
It's a flea market clock.
No, it's not a flea market. You cannot belittle that. That poetry is about very personal work. And it is very important to me. Now, I'm not going to fucking stop you fucking candy-ass whining bitch. You sure seem to have no problem with other people stealing a creator's work. Oh, just stop your complaining, you little boy. Well, I worked hard on that shit. And I spent money on getting those books published. So it matters, motherfucker. It matters to me.
Poetry matters like Bukowski. Poetry's not a big deal. Come on.
Oh, yeah, it's not a big deal at all. That's why people show up and, let me tell you about poetry. There were 2 homeless people in Highland Park, 2 young kids, and one was dying of cancer. And what did they read to each other every night to cheer each other up? They read from Still Dead, my second collection of poetry. And that's what he read to her to cheer her up while they're fucking homeless. So why don't you tell me again how unimportant my poetry is, you fucking dick?
Did I tell you how unimportant it is?
Yeah, you did. It's just poetry, Hart. It's not. It's very important. You tell a creator, your song is just a song. Danzig Mother's just a song. It doesn't matter anybody.
But Hart, I never
said
your poetry was unimportant. I said, why are you getting upset about
You think you're clever with your put-downs, but they're just passive-aggressive and plain as day to any real player.
You are talking to one of the most self-loathing motherfuckers you've ever met.
It's true, Hart.
That's why you're so passive-aggressive. That's why you're so passive-aggressive. You got a problem with yourself.
You are an utter psychotic. You are dysregulated. And the fact that you are getting upset at what I'm saying is absolutely ludicrous.
You mean the fact that I won't let you put down my poetry or say, oh, it's just your poetry.
Let
them steal your stuff. Let them steal it. Hart, they're just selling your stuff. They're just stealing it. Who cares, Hart? Well, you're diminishing my problem with my work being stolen. And that's a problem. Are you a person that illegally downloads movies?
I mean,
do you illegally download movies?
No, I do not. Don't you want to live a long
And the reason I don't illegally download movies is because I won't steal from the artist.
All right, so Hart, listen, Max, hold on a second, because we're going to start wrapping this up in a few minutes. Hart, you signed a new paranormal series. It's called Mission Terror, right?
That's right. We signed Mission Terror. We also signed a deal with Necrophagia.
Okay, and you're getting all their music. You could use their music.
The music videos. We're getting their music videos to air on American Horrors. One of the things I love the fact that we could play uncut, horrific music videos by like Danzig, Doomed and Disgusting, War Beast.
So this isn't new. I mean, you're doing the video thing there too. I mean, it's not like, well, now we're going to start doing these videos. You already have a show or an hour dedicated to showing music videos?
Well, the great thing about American Horrors is since we're not corporate horror, my wife and I, we do the programming ourselves. Like Waka normally does the programming. So she schedules. So you'll watch a short horror film by Tony Natoli, and then that'll go into an old Salem cigarette commercial, and that'll go into an old McMahon Budweiser beer commercial. Then that'll go into transvaginal mesh or the flexible hose or Proactive Plus, or maybe it'll go into a music video. And so we break things up. So when you watch American Horrors, you're going to get uncut horror films, feature length, short horror films, our own original programming, our own original TV shows. We have a really great horror movie review show called Fright Asylum with Woody Mex. We have a really great show, Count Crazy Craig. We have awesome Soska Sister t-shirts that we're doing with Haunted Hollywood Sports. We have really great original films like Us Sinners, Client 14, my own film, The Garbage Man. It's one of the only places you could watch it. It's not available for streaming on Netflix. And so we got a lot of great stuff on the air. Saturday Fright Specials, our horror host show. So when you tune into American Horrors, it's a horror channel, just like a regular TV channel, run by horror people.
Dude, listen to me. Get that Carl Cruz guy on the line, and get that The Secret Life Jeffrey Dahmer movie. Get that on there.
It's really good, huh?
No, I haven't seen it. I want to see it. Get it on. I can't find it anywhere. I was just looking around for it.
Well, it's funny because Carl has a great bar, the CIA at Normal Arts bar in Burbank and North Hollywood. He is going to be doing a half-hour show for American Horrors for a Mondo Vision Monday lineup.
Nice. All right, so you got the Orphan Killer coming out. You have you could be seen in Serial Killer Culture. We talked about that movie on our last episode. Hart, it was great having you on the program tonight.
And I got to say, Matt Farnsworth was fantastic, and you guys can catch me as I'm a cameo part in 2035 Forbidden Dimensions by Chris J. Miller. I've got a great part where I get to beat up the hero, and that's streaming right now at Walmart.
Nice. And what about Twitter, man? Throw that out there, too.
You could find me Heart Attack Radio or also at Hart Fisher. I'm on the Twitter. I'm on the Facebook.com/American Horrors. The American Horrors Twitter is at TV Guide, Horror TV Guide. And, watch American Horrors for free. We're at filmon.com. Look for American Horrors. You could watch us on your iPhone, your iPad, and now you could watch us on Roku.
There he is, guys. Hart Fisher. He's out of here.
Thank you, Hart. That was fun.
It was totally fun. Hey, hold the line for a second, Hart. The Cutting Room Movie Podcast is brought to you by Christiana Productions and New Media Limited. The show is edited and co-produced by Joseph Streck and produced by Thomas Detloff and Joe Christiana. You can like us on Facebook at The Cutting Room Movie Podcast and follow me on Twitter, Thomas Detloff at TCRM Podcast. You can also check out Joe's film work at ChristianaProductions.com. Max's new blog is out there. Check it out, MaxCookUncorked.com. And check out Max and Adam's Bowler Hat Productions and their Mimosa podcast show at MaxCookandTheCounselor.com. Dave Pace is now a contributing writer at Rue Morgue magazine. Look for his work over there and his blog on horror media politics at La Politique, Psychotronique at psychotronique.anidealforliving.com. Music from The Cutting Room is done by the Zillatones. Check them out at www.thezillatones.com or search for the Zillatones at ReverbNation.com. We will be back next week with our first episode of our 2-week theme of Boston movies, and we're going to have a little discussion about Seth MacFarlane's Ted. Until then, we are over and we are out. Ciao.
And that's where I know Dave from. Jesus, I should have known right away.